So we're shooting house wrap, and I thought I'd really quickly talk about the tools that we're using, some of the pros and cons, my experience with them, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, given what we're doing. So this is a hammer stapler. Basically, the idea is that you pound it against whatever it is, and it'll drive a staple into whatever that is, whatever surface that is. It's very fast, very efficient, very convenient. It actually loads 2 bars of staples into it. But the downside of it is by hammering something, if you overhammer, the very tip of it will actually overdrive a staple, can tear the house wrap a little bit. It'll just put a small tear or penetration in the house wrap. So I like it for its speed, but I don't like what it does to the wrap. My wrap is a good chance, given the speed at which I'm building the house, is actually probably going to run the full 9 months that it has for its exposure rating. So I'd really rather try to minimize the number of sort of perforations I put in it. So this is great. So this basically, you hammer it and it'll drive the staple in, and it's pretty fast. This is kind of one of the other things. I bought this a while back because I was stapling some of the underlayment, the radiant barrier underlayment, and thought this would be kind of a great staple gun. You basically push down and then it pops and drives a staple. It's great. It just takes a lot of hand squeezing and pressure to pull it together, but it very consistently drives the staple. It also doesn't overdrive it, and it doesn't make any sort of perforation. I was pulling the house wrap nice and tight. You could pull it in a direction and staple it, and so this does a great job of stapling that in place. This is a little bit harder to do that because when you actually hit, the way that you hit the wrap, you could lean it or push it in a certain direction, and that would put a small wrinkle in it. Not a huge deal, but I liked it to be as smooth as possible. Kind of helps you go straight if you can keep all the wrinkles out of it. The third thing, so I did this for about 2 or 3 days, and my hand was dead. I was cramped. I could hardly pick anything up, so I had to take a couple days off. So this, obviously, it's tough to do a very large job with something like this. So I picked up this. It's a pneumatic stapler. It essentially works very similar to the way this one does. I really like this one. It actually, you can hold the trigger down and rapid fire it, and it's really convenient for the way that it loads. So it's really quick to load staples in it. The staples that I've been shooting, I don't know if you can see it in here, but I did grab the ones that have the chisel tips. They're about a 10 millimeter chisel tip staple, and that's what we've been tacking the house wrap on. So I say we've been tacking the house wrap because as we've been going along, these are all very consistent. They'll shoot a staple, almost never have a problem with it, but it is a very short staple. And the idea of the nailing schedule or stapling schedule, the fastening schedule for the house wrap is to prevent it from flying away if you were to have a hurricane or storm. And we are in a hurricane zone here in Florida, and so that is of a concern to me. So we have been tacking it with this, but going back and shooting it with our cap stapler. The cap stapler was great for putting the underlayment on the roof. We used it a ton, but there are a few drawbacks to this. It's very easy to run around with a ton of these in your pouch and just reload as you're going along, whereas this takes a coil of plastic caps that you can see inside there, and you'd have to walk around with coils of nails. And so having these to tack it all up, you're a lot more mobile. It's really easy. The other drawback of this is that the coil feeder for the nails every now and again holds or catches a nail, and it won't feed another nail out, so you get a misfire. The other thing is sometimes the caps don't tear off, and it'll pull out a long string of caps. That's no big deal when you're only working, you only need one hand, for example, or for, when we were doing the underlayment, it kind of lays down by itself. But the house wrap, a lot of times, you don't have 2 hands. So these were very consistent in shooting staples and tacking it. I didn't have to deal with any misfires or having to mess with this. I could just kind of move along really quickly. And then what we've been doing is going back and doubling back and shooting in between the staples with the cap nails. And a benefit of that, these have a ring shank nail on them, plus the cap head. I think that is mechanically a better fastener for the house wrap to try to hold it on should we have a storm. So that's kind of a breakdown of the tools we've been using to put the house wrap on. I hope this was helpful.